Hey, g'day folks, how you going? Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, then a special g'day to you. Now it's 2025, and can you believe that next year will mark 20 years since the mine collapse at the Beaconsfield gold mine. We all sat there glued to our TV, waiting for the moment that two trapped miners finally made it back to the surface after being trapped for 2 weeks in a tiny space. On a recent flying trip to Tasmania to do an unrelated video job, we had enough time to go in and check out the Beaconsfield Mine Museum. So sit back and let's go. Bloody amazing! Tucked away in northern Tasmania, the town of Beaconsfield holds a story of gold, resilience and survival. At the heart of it all is the Beaconsfield Mine Heritage Centre. The centre stands on the original mine site where gold was first discovered in 1877, sparking a gold rush that would transform this small town. The Beaconsfield's mine story leaves a lasting mark on Tasmania's history. Today, the mine's legacy is preserved through interactive displays and historic artefacts. Step inside and you'll find the treasure trove of gold mining history, from the tools used by early miners to the giant headframe that towers over the site. But it's not just gold that makes this place famous. In 2006, Beaconsfield became the focus of global attention when a mine collapse trapped 3 miners underground. While one life was sadly lost, 2 men, Todd Russell and Brant Webb, survived against all odds, spending 14 days trapped nearly a kilometre underground. The incredible rescue story is told here through moving displays and the very equipment that helped bring the men back to the surface. The centre features displays that try to show you what they had to deal with, like this replica of their hellhole. You can see the PVC pipe that was pushed through the rock and used to provide whatever the boys needed during those 14 days underground. A plastic bottle attached to a length of electrical conduit became the lifeline, used to transport supplies from the rescuers to Todd and Brant. The story of their survival captured the hearts of many Australians and highlighted the dangers of underground mining. But it's not just about the 2 trapped men. It's also a story about their workmates who never gave up on them, working tirelessly day and night to bring them back to safety. Their determination and teamwork were just as much a part of this incredible rescue. After the rescue was completed, the Beaconsfield community came up with a unique way to commemorate the event, knitting a scarf 925 metres long, the same distance from the surface to where the trapped miners were. As word spread, knitted sections started arriving from all over Australia, New Zealand and even the UK. Today, the scarf has grown to over 2 kilometres in length, a powerful symbol of unity and support. It's not all about heavy history. The centre encourages hands-on exploration, letting visitors experience what life was like for the early miners. There is a reason why Tasmania is called the Apple Isle. During the 20th century, Tasmania was one of the world leaders in apple exports. Here is an example of what an apple production line was like in the 1900s. Here the apples were sorted into size. And here, another machine, I think, was taking out the apple core. An example of how a house might have looked in the 1900s. This exhibit is likely larger than most homes at the time. And then we have what a hospital room might have looked like. From up here, we can get an overview of some of the early machinery on display. This self-guided tour follows a set path that takes you past all the key points of interest. Now, I like these self-guided formats because it lets you stop for as long as you like without feeling rushed. But then there's something to be said about getting first-hand info from a tour guide as well. Here's an example of an air compressor. I think it would have been going a lot faster than this in the day to do the job of supplying air to the mine site. Here is what most of us would have seen many times and understand as a mine site. And then there's the part underground that very few of us would ever see. Outside, you can wander through the ruins of the old mining buildings and see some more of the early machinery that might have been used in the original mine. The working replica of the water wheel, which used water to drive the hammers to break up the rock into smaller pieces. It's a nod to the engineering feats that kept the mine running. The Beaconsfield Mine is one of Tasmania's most well-known mines, with a rich history dating back to the mid-19th century. Gold was first discovered in Beaconsfield in 1877, leading to a gold rush that quickly transformed the town. The Beaconsfield mine was originally known as the Tasmanian gold mine. It became one of Australia's richest and most productive gold mines during its early years. By the early 1900s, the mine had produced over 800,000 ounces of gold, making it one of the richest gold mines in Tasmania. The mine closed in 1914 due to flooding and the fall of the gold prices. After about 85 years, the mine reopened in 1999 as modern mining technology made it more viable again. The mine ceased operations again in 2012 due to economic reasons and the depletion of easy accessible gold. And from what I can remember from the day, I believe there was also an issue with the continuing safety of the mine. This was a locker room where miners would start their shifts. They'd leave their clothes in these lockers and change into their overalls and boots that had been set out for them, ready for another day deep underground.
Jacket of some description with the tools packed and hose clips off. Lots of people had lots of different stuff. I don't know what they weighed, but if you weighed it, it started working out a few kilos.
At the end of their shift, the miners would head straight to the showers, washing away the dust and the grime of the underground. Only then they would change back into their clean clothes before heading home. Outside, they'd collect their headlight that's been recharged and then head for the main shaft to start their way down into the mine. This is the winch control room. This is where massive cable drums once controlled the movement of the cage that carried miners in and out of the shaft. Precision was critical. 4 brake sets on each side held the cage in place, preventing it from plummeting uncontrolled to the shaft floor nearly a kilometre below. This is a shaft the whole world watched on TV, the place where, after 14 long days, the 2 luckiest miners finally emerged from the depths of the mine. And here is the tag board where their tags were finally moved to off duty, marking the end of their incredible ordeal.
A moment of triumph, a remarkable tale of survival against incredible odds. After 14 days trapped in a cage buried in the bowels of the earth, Todd Russell and Brad Webb removed their tags to signal the end of their shift. One can only imagine the joy these families feel, an embrace they almost certainly feared would never come.
This is what the cage looks like from the inside. Beneath it, a basket carried the mined ore. As the basket was lifted, it would tip its load into this hopper, where the ore would then drop onto a conveyor belt. From here, it travelled up the belt for processing, continuing its journey from deep underground to the surface. Throughout the museum there were plenty of interactive displays, and we couldn't pass up the chance to try a bit of, well, old-time gold mining ourselves. miner's touch now. You're going to be out back of the goldfields in any time. And yes, we hit the motherlode. Between the three of us, we found a heap of brass nuggets. Well, you didn't think that they would put real gold in there, did you? Now all up, we spent probably about an hour and a half here, and it was well worth it. If you're in the area, you really should definitely consider checking this place out. There's so much to experience and learn. Now with the gold panning, we kept 3 of the pieces of nuggets that we found and put the rest back so somebody else could find it. And here is a macro photo to prove it. And before we go, let's take a moment to spare a thought for Larry Knight, the poor bloke who never made it home from work that day. Happy travels.